Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. This is Film Threats Versus on a Monday. Today on the show, so much to discuss. Agatha All Along. Is it a hit or a miss? Plus, the Penguin on Max surprises many people. In addition, a substance is here, and we will talk about it. I have an activator right here. Here's the activator from the substance. We'll see what happens in a live demonstration. We've got a lot of great guests, so buckle up, get ready, your chat comments and questions. Let's go and start the show. Oh my God, I love Versus on Monday. They're all here. Hey, how's it going, everyone? We've got some people that will be joining us late, but we've got a unusual, slightly different roster today, but I'm very excited. So everyone, let's pop in. So we've got some returning champions and some new blood. Let's go right here. When you are full screen, introduce yourself. Let's go.
Okay, I'm Paul Salamoff. I'm a writer, producer, director. Used to do special effects. Wrote the book On the Set. Won a Saturn Award for Movie Called Encounter.
Angry Badger, you know what it is. Stream every day, and I'm here for Super Chat reading.
I'm Alan Ng, editor-in-chief of Film Threat, and I have changed my mind on The Substance. I no longer like this movie.
What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. Hey, thanks for having me back once again. Film Threat, love being here. Can't wait for the conversation.
Imagination connoisseur Robert Meyer Burnett here. You know me, and if you don't, that's probably better for you. I do a lot of YouTubing, and I'm currently in production on a 10-part audio drama called True Noir.
And happy birthday, Rob, as usual. It's
happy birthday, Chris.
The
Great
joke
birthday.
that will never die.
Exactly. And let's see who's here. We've got a lot of people here. We will post your super chats at the end of the show. Comments we will run on the bottom throughout, but we have so much to discuss. But a quick reminder that Film Threat Shop is here. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. We have Halloween themed shirts. We have our limited edition Drinker's Choice collection. We've got new shirts inspired by Krull and the Warriors, and also our election collection. That's right, it's election season. Vote Film Thread, Gore Ing 24. We've got button sets and shirts only for a limited time. They will after November 5th. They're out of the store. So go ahead to shop.filmthreat.com and support our work. So yeah, thank you for that. Okay. Big news today, and this has been rumored for a long time. The Ray movie is rumored to be on hold. There are many websites that have this story. I'll go to one of them and we will discuss it. But this was touted by Lucasfilm, the return of Daisy Ridley as Ray Skywalker.
She's a Palpatine, and we all know it.
She's back in the beige. She has her yellow lightsaber. She renamed herself. Let's not dead name her. I didn't think this would happen from the beginning. And this is from Cosmic Book News, just repeating a lot of what we heard. The new Jedi Order movie starring Daisy Ridley as Rey reportedly needs some more work and is now on hold. It is not expected to start filming until 2025. I suspect it may not roll before cameras at all. The Disney Star Wars Hotel was a failure. They built the entire new Star Wars land. I call it Star Wars Land. It's Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland and Disney World. Rey walks around the park. Nobody seems to care, but there are lines to see Chewbacca, Darth Vader. I don't think this is Daisy Ridley's fault. I think she's a very good actress and did what she could with what she was given. What do we think about this? Chime in with your thoughts.
Yeah, I've covered this for a while. This is the WW Pro was one of the first ones. Daniel RPK. They've all basically said the same thing. This all boils down to Stephen Knight, who is busy opening up a studio and just finished a script for the Peaky Blinders movie, of which there's supposed to be many. Yeah, he can't be opening a studio and focus on Peaky Blinders while also working hand in hand with Charmin Obey-Chenoy and Ray and that story group to come out with this movie. So yeah, the last we heard from him is he turned in a script and they handed it back with so many notes that he had to rewrite it. And so he's probably just gonna be like, no, I'm done with Peaky Blinders. You guys figure out what you want. And then the last I also heard was that Sean Levy was possibly going to be replacing Charmin, which would be horrible because I wouldn't get to do my accent. When she likes to make people uncomfortable, Chris, and so if they if they take this movie from her to make it about the patriarchy of Star Wars, I'm going to be very upset. And also, Sean Levy has too much clout; he won't do what they want. So,
any other thoughts? I have a lot of thoughts on this thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like Angry Badger said. If you're working with a quality screenwriter, and he's got his own projects going. He has a movie coming out. I think they're starting to shoot it, or they're about to start to shoot it. And he's also got his studio coming up, and they've already gone through 4 revisions of his original screenplay, and they're still sending back notes. At some point in time, it's like, look, I'm out. Okay, I got other things that I'm trying to accomplish here. If it's not working, it's not working. That's fine. This is going to be like the 3rd writer that they've gone through. If he doesn't finish this script and get it going, he's going to be the 3rd writer. They've already gone through, I think, Damon Lindelof, and then another guy, Justin Britt Cretton or something. I can't remember his exact name, but yeah, this is going to be the 3rd writer. This feels like Blade all over again, where they're going to have multiple writers, multiple directors are going to be stepping in, stepping out. And at this point in time, like every Lucasfilm project that we seem to hear about, oh yeah, it's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. We have the same thing with the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie. Kevin Feige, I guess, at one point in time had one. The Rian Johnson trilogy, on and on and on.
Dan and Dave, Patty Jenkins, yeah.
Yeah, this is par for the course for Lucasfilm, so not surprising in the least that this is what they're doing.
Well, a couple things real quick. They announced this Star Wars celebration a while ago, and they introduced the director. They announced the project. They brought Daisy Ridley out. You can find the footage online. And very strangely, I believe it was New Year's Day.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve on CNN. The director, Charmin Obey-Chenoy, somehow, I believe he went rogue. I believe the project was in jeopardy. I believe she took it upon herself with her connections at CNN to say, I need to go on TV. I want to talk about something. And she went by herself to promote a movie that they had no standing. I believe she was trying to save the project. It was already in trouble. So on New Year's Eve, she was, for some reason, on CNN promoting a movie that doesn't even have a script. So that was a huge red flag to me. Like, oh, this project is in trouble. It's not happening. This is BS. When Disney and or Lucasfilm promote anything, it's coordinated. It's planned. So I think this is DOA. I called it way back then. So this on hold, it's just one step toward finally announcing cancellation.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So we've talked about, you reported on Kevin Feige and how he kind of cleaned house from all activism. Second, we had the IGN article about Pete Docter basically saying, no, we're going to make movies that appeal to a broad audience, and became for potential LGBT themes in Inside Out 2. I was just having a discussion with someone about Jennifer Lee this morning. She's the one who brought in a lot of activism to Disney Animation, and now she's gone. So we have Marvel, we have Star Wars, we have Disney Animation. There's one thing left, and makes you wonder, how much longer is Kathleen Kennedy going to be around?
She'll never leave.
Well,
but you know what? Go ahead.
It changes across the board except Star Wars so far.
But the thing about it is, as a brand, I don't think they have a mission statement as far as Star Wars is concerned. It is a rudderless franchise. You have Skeleton Crew coming out, the John Watts series that's starring Jude Law, which looks relatively interesting. Doesn't look very Star Wars. It looks more like E.T. in space or Explorers meets E.T. or whatever. It's like the summer of 82 and 84 fused together. But the real question is, coming off of something like Rise of Skywalker, which arguably, in my mind, Rise of Skywalker and Star Trek Into Darkness are the two worst big budget science fiction films ever made. And coming off of Rise of Skywalker, where you are supposed to then follow that just horrible mess of a film that killed an entire franchise after I mean, that film is so awful that I can't even, I own it and I've never watched it. I will never. I bought the Skywalker 4K box set. You know, I will never ever. I've never felt this way. I'll watch Highlander 2 before I'll watch Rise of Skywalker. I mean, it's Highlander 2 at least has things that I'll enjoy. I honestly, I do not know why anybody. I mean, people like Mandalorian, and let's face it, Mandalorian is a second-rate Boba Fett show. For everybody who talks about it, it's fine. The first two seasons are fine. The third season, not so much. But and then followed up with Book of Boba Fett, which again is a crime against mankind. And it's you have to. And then we have the Acolyte, and Obi-Wan existed only to have another lightsaber duel between Vader and Obi-Wan, and it shouldn't have. But that's the only reason it exists. And you look at this Star Wars as a franchise. What is it now? You've got all these filmmakers doing, what is the Acolyte? The Acolyte could have answered a question that has been asked. I've been asking it since Empire Strikes Back. What do the Sith want? What do they want? Answer that question. That could be a whole trilogy of films delving into, I mean, you know that there's the rule of two, but at the end of the day, running the galaxy is a pain in the ass. What do you want to fix everyone's plumbing? I mean, you create the empire underneath Sith Lords. What is it you hope to achieve? And if you want power, well, you have it. Palpatine has power. But what are you going to do with that power once you've ascended to the throne? They've never told us that. It's a fairy tale look at evil. It just is. And the Acolyte
comics for you.
But the Acolyte could have been a very interesting examination of what the Sith could want and make it interesting. That we understand Star Wars is about good and evil, but sometimes the Sith could be very useful. Maybe there's a universe in which the Sith need to be here to counter the Jedi. The Acolyte was kind of going in that direction a little bit, but the wrong creators. And I think this Rey movie, people suddenly probably ask themselves, what is this about? Starting a new Jedi Order? Well, what does that mean? You don't know where the problem is. Where's that going to go? If you don't have a universe people are into, if you don't have a universe that needs the Jedi, you just deconstructed the Jedi with the Acolyte. Why would we care about a new Jedi Order?
Well, see, the problem, Rob, is you have Hollywood who can't think any deeper than identity politics and, you know, what skin color somebody is, or, hey, we need female, you know, representation. We need to have female heroes. That's about as deep as this Rey movie.
Well, and the problem with that is that's not a story. That's not a story.
That's the problem.
It doesn't matter what color somebody is or what gender they are or what their sexuality or religious preferences are. That isn't a story. And
but that's as deep as Lucasfilm is willing to go. That's as deep as Lucasfilm has when it comes to storytelling over there at that studio right now. They can't get any deeper than that. They can't talk about the stuff you're talking about because the only thing that Kathleen Kennedy wants to do is make sure that there's plenty of female representation. We have to have the story group so many women. We have to have 6 out of 8 of the executives are women, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's what Kathleen's agenda is. And because the agenda is there, it's getting in the way of actual storytelling within this franchise.
And also, they're trying to service audiences that are in the minority that actually watch their shows.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying that women don't love Star Wars. Of course they do. But men like Star Wars more.
Rob, the answer to all your questions, by the way, about what the Sith wants was in all the books and comics that Kathy got rid of as soon as she had the chance.
I know. And I was going to say,
Empire, real quickly, the Sith wanted their empire back. The Republic wiped them out, and some might say they went above and beyond, like they purposely went and wiped them out. And so they want their empire back, and it took them 1,000 years to get it.
Real
Yeah, but
quick,
ultimate showing
what
Friday.
I say real quick. Welcome Dante James of Verbal Riot joining late. We're talking about the Ray movie being on hold. In a related story, and by the way, this will be the last time we talk about the Acolyte.
Oh,
Of course, of course.
It's the last time that there is this just launched. Someone sent this to me. It is demand for transparency for the Acolyte's budget.
Yeah.
There is we'll put the link in the description here, but there is a petition that this show cost $180 million. We see the graphic of a bunch of Star Wars
$600,000 a
no,
minute.
no,
Very
laundry
funny.
mat.
Sitting at the
very funny.
laundromat
A
cleaning that
laundromat.
bread.
I
love
like
it.
the graphic here. We'll put the link. It only has their goal is 25 signatures. They're almost there. Anyways, we'll put that link. It's from change.org. How and for Paul, you're a filmmaker. So is
Yeah.
Rob. You've done projects. How did that show cost $180 million?
How many Godzilla -1s we could have got?
Yeah, well, you know what? I can't actually answer that because even though I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan, I did not watch the show because I just couldn't bring myself to watch it.
You
I was
already had
more
a near-death
entertained by
experience.
watching. I was
You're the
more
reason for
entertained
the
by
bad
watching
ratings.
about it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
It's
Better for your health that you did not
hey,
watch it.
William.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my petition. Thanks, William. We will put the link. We will.
The thing is, we'll never get the answer. We'll
100
never get the answer to this, man. You don't want look. Hollywood's never going to open up that can of worms, right? Because once you start poking into the Acolyte, you got to start poking into other projects, right? No one's going to answer these questions because everyone has their hands in the pot. Everyone's getting paid out, so no one is ever going to answer these questions of where
Disney's a publicly held company.
yeah.
Sure,
Why
I mean-
aren't stockholders demanding this?
Yeah, I mean, shareholders, the amount of money. Why do these movies cost as much as they do?
Mhm.
I think Paul and I could make whatever they've spent on the Acolyte. We could have done a better show at half the price.
Of course, but what I'm
third of
saying
the
is
price.
Disney, even with their shareholders, they're never going to answer these kind of questions.
True.
They
True.
won't. I mean,
I mean, but how,
it's
I
not
mean,
to their
how
benefit.
can you bypass stockholders like this? I mean,
Well, they
if you're
have.
investing money in this company and they're spending $100 million on the project. You have to be given the answer of where that money went.
Okay, but Alan, you're saying that, but have they done it so far?
Yeah,
No,
I mean, he's
but they
got
did.
a good point there because they have some of the best lawyers in the business, and I'm pretty sure they have found every avenue they can to get around reporting the actual numbers. It's like even with the budgets, like you have to go when that's when they shoot in the UK because of the UK laws, they actually have to report the real budget that they spent so they can get those tax credits. If Disney did
Yeah.
that same business over here, we wouldn't even know some of those numbers. We wouldn't even know it would just be whatever they reported. So yeah, they're able to get away with a lot because of how they do business. But yeah, I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think
But
we're
you
ever
have to
gonna know
believe they're
how much
breaking
they
laws
spent.
here. They're breaking laws, or they're breaking.
Of course they
SEC.
are.
Of
course
they
they're
are.
breaking
That's what all
laws.
the lawsuits are going to reveal. That's what they're so terrified. Yeah,
What they really should be
I'm more
fearful of is
concerned with them
breaking the
my
lore.
heart. They're breaking
that's
my
been
heart.
broken a long time ago.
I mean, the thing is, like Badger pointed out. I mean, and I feel this way about my other favorite franchise, Star Wars. I mean, Star Trek, is that there's so many great stories out there that can be mined. And now what a lot of people are doing now, they're strip mining the comics, the novels, and not telling anyone, or just doing it because they Lucasfilm owns all these comic books. But when the comic book writers, they didn't consent to having their material translated into another medium. Look at what happened to Timothy Zahn. They summoned him to Lucasfilm and they're like, yeah, we're using Grand Admiral Thrawn in our new animated series, and we wanted your blessing. I mean, we already did it, but we thought it was important that we get you on board, and we'll give you another book to read.
All they had to do was badly adapt the already there Tales of the Jedi from thousands of years ago. It explains it all. All they had to do was badly adapt it, and they didn't even do that. They said it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating.
So the Ray Project dead. Season 2 of the Acolyte dead.
Oh,
This is.
I
I
think
mean,
yeah.
What's next?
Is the Knights of the Old Republic dead?
Skeleton Crew. I mean, it's
Well-
gonna be. You see, is that? I'm willing to. I look at everything on its own terms. It might be good.
pirate
John Watts
Jude Law.
is a talented director. Jude Law's in it.
I think it looks fine. It looks like it's for kids, which
Yeah.
is Disney's wheelhouse anyways. It looks inoffensive, not break any lore. It's just a rogue Jedi and some kids, and they have an adventure.
That's exactly what
not
Star Wars
for
Theory
us.
said. Yeah, it feels like it's a non-offensive. It won't ruin our day and destroy lore. It'll just be nice and
Nothing
fun.
wrong with that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you look at Andor. Andor was a good show. Outside of all the garbage that's come out of Disney, out of Lucasfilm,
And we're
Andor
getting a
was
second
actually good.
season.
So you're getting
Academy
season 2.
Award-winning screenwriter wrote that.
Right.
Andor was
Yeah, I think they're
fantastic.
dumping this, in my opinion, because it's bad for the brand. Like you said, Marvel's been cleaning up their stuff. Pixar's been cleaning up their stuff. Maybe it's time that Lucasfilm gets after it and starts to clean house and get some of the gunk out of the way so they can actually figure out what the hell Star Wars is for this. They need to go back to what Star Wars was, because they're making content for people that don't really care about Star Wars. They care about other things. Like the Acolyte doesn't feel like it was something a Star Wars fan would watch. Paul, you said I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan, had no interest in it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's remarkable to me. I mean, like I remember, when I was, younger, just dreaming about, God, can you imagine if there was a Star Wars TV show? That would be the greatest thing. And now I'm getting it, I'm getting my dream and then some. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to skip this one.
You missed the
Is this
chanting,
the first one
though.
you skipped? Is this the first one you skipped, or have you skipped
I
Ahsoka?
didn't make it through. No, I watched Ahsoka. Because I like the character, but
Okay.
it was one of them I loved Andor. Like Andor was spectacular. Like I really that was great. Yeah, there was another one I just couldn't get through it, and then I just didn't bother with the Acolyte.
Okay, this sounds really crazy. When you guys were kids, or even recently with the Star Wars sequel films, did you have fantasies or dark thoughts, where you might die and not see a sequel to Star Wars?
Prequel
Yes.
or
Yeah.
something.
You might not see, like, seriously, like there was a movie about that, right? Where their friend, what was the name of that movie? Was it Fanboys?
Yeah.
Fanboys, where their friend would terminally ill might not get to see episode 1. I had thoughts of that. Paul, you dodged a bullet. Maybe you could have, passed away and not seen the Acolyte.
It doesn't matter how much.
You know what's funny, Chris? They actually literally had that thought. I mean, could you?
Me too.
I was literally like,
I'm not. What if I die and don't see Return of the Jedi? I'm not going to know how things resolve.
I was going to say it doesn't matter how much that they clean up or what kind of changes they're making, man. The problem is if they can't wrangle in their talent, then it doesn't matter. If you're going on press circuit saying this is the gayest Star Wars ever, this is the gayest MCU show ever, you've already lost an audience. You've already lost the majority of your audience. So
that's the
we'll talk about Agatha soon.
Even if Disney is trying to clean up their act, right? It doesn't matter when they can't wrangle their talent in.
We have 2 more topics before we get to Agatha. So we're going to switch gears here. Do really quickly. Am I Racist is a box office hit. Alan, if you would bring up the box office. This movie, the drop on it was not very much. Traditionally, movies generally do a 50% drop.
They added theaters this past week.
They added theaters. They usually do not do that. It's the
Especially for a
box
documentary.
biggest box office for a documentary. It was still in the top 10 at number 7, made another 2.4 million to add to the 5 million from last weekend. It's in the top 10, still ignored by mainstream critics. So that's the win of the weekend. The disappointment is Transformers 1, which I enjoyed. I thought was a very fun, good characters. And I am a Transformers, a casual fan. I like 2 of the movies, and that's about it. Okay. Watch the original movie with Orson Welles' voice, all that. It's fine, but I was never a super fan of it. Transformers 1 was fun. And first of all, I think those trailers for the movie were terrible. They were god awful. It was, who was it for? Little kids. What is this thing? And it turned out to be a very good film. It tanked, very underperformed. And Am I Racist did very well. Beetlejuice on top of the box office again at 25 million.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Two
That Tim
26
Burton-
million total gross. Comments on any of this? Transformers bombing? Am I racist? A hit? Any thoughts here?
That's a shame about Transformers. You know, I'm with you, Chris. Like I think Transformers was a little bit like sort of beyond my time when I was, you know, growing up, and I was, you know, like I watched the movies, but was never, you know, never really into them. But this was the first one that I really like. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun experience, and it that's a shame. I this is the first time I've seen really the numbers on it, and I actually was kind of rooting for it. I was rooting for this Transformers film because it was fun, and I was been telling people, I'm like, you know what, this is really worth seeing in the theater.
Well, I think this movie skewed for kids, and I'm wondering is this a good kids mid-range budget kind of film? You know, if you look at it that way, you know, maybe 24 million doesn't seem that bad of a number.
I think the trailers really hurt this movie.
Yeah,
Really.
Yeah, based on the trailers, it looked goofy. It didn't look like it was going to be a fun movie. Yeah, it got good word of mouth after the fact, but the trailers leading up to the film weren't great.
Yeah, I'll agree with it because I think based on the trailer, I was like, well, I guess I'll be skipping this. And I'm an AMC lister, you know what I mean? So it's like guilt-free movies all the time. So it's very rare that I'll just skip a movie, and you know, especially one like that. And I started hearing some of the early reviews on it, and I'm like, maybe I will be checking this out. And I saw it pretty early when it was released, and yeah, it met my expectations. Actually, kind of exceeded them. Actually,
Don't hear that very much these days.
yeah,
No.
All right. If you would close the box office, Alan, lot of other topics. Today is topic filled. We had, and we will get to Marvel. We're almost to Agatha, folks. We'll get to Agatha. A new trailer for a Marvel movie dropped. I don't know if you've seen this. Hopefully we won't have to cut this out. But has everyone seen this or not?
Yep,
I did.
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I
All
think
right.
I cannot tell a lie, but
Oh yeah.
it's worth it to see the apathy phase fully set in. It feels like a Disney Plus. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, let's look at it together. It's a little longish on the trailer side. It may pause at certain
It's a
points.
teaser and it's 3 minutes.
That's not a teaser. It's a
Well,
minute.
that's a trailer.
That's a
I'm
trailer.
complaining about
I think that I watched this morning. I think they're really trying hard to make this a thing. This is a Disney. This should go direct to Disney Plus, along with the new Captain America. But let's take a look at this. Alan, if you would mute me and unmute me.
Yes.
Here we go. We'll watch it. 3.5 minutes. Okay, here we go.
I click leave on porch. Your subordinates will be reported to DoorDash HQ.
Alexi, it's me. Open up.
Elena? Hold on! Elena!
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about the wait. It was an important call. Highly classified. Lot of work. Many irons in fire.
You feel fulfilled?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so full. So filled.
Oops.
This song, how is it so predictable that they do the slow or rearranged version of an iconic song? Where Is My Mind? Pixies utilized amazing in Fight Club. Is this trend gonna die one day, or
Better than a rap song like we saw in every other big thing that ruins the trailer at
Right.
the end.
well, Gladiator 2, which we will not show,
Yeah.
thankfully did not use modern music. It's what you would think. I'll continue here. Any thoughts so far?
Yeah, I love goofy Marvel. That's always worked.
So hot right now. Bad
Silly
lesbian
Marvel.
witches.
Yeah.
How do you open a trailer in someone's shitty apartment? For a
Right.
Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I understand where they're going for this, but Marvel needs to reestablish itself as a brand that's going to take us places where we haven't gone before. And I understand why they're opening it this way, but this doesn't exactly scream big budget. This doesn't exactly scream, I need to run out to the theater and see this. Wow.
I wonder, did this cost less than the Acolyte?
I will just say there's a lot I noticed of like, oh, they're trying to evoke Civil War grounded, not Civil War, the original Winter Soldier grounded, smaller. Yeah.
Let's continue.
But why do you ask this? What brings you here?
There is something wrong with me. An emptiness.
Disney's cry for
I'm
help.
just drifting. And I don't have purpose. I thought throwing myself into work was the answer.
With your feet on the air, your head on the ground. Yeah.
Oh no.
Who are you?
I'm Bob.
Bob.
Who sent you, Bob?
Nobody. You were all sent?
Everyone here has done bad things. Shadow ops. Robbing government labs. Contract kills.
Yeah, so?
So, someone wants us gone.
It's the plot setup for Predators.
What the hell?
We're brought up with this belief that there are good guys and there are bad guys.
What's the plan?
This could get messy.
So they just rip off a stunt from The Dark Knight.
There's a bunch of things they ripped off.
You can't tell, but that's Elaine from Seinfeld, who has no gravitas whatsoever. Look, I like her as a comedic actress. She was in a drama earlier this year that was not good. I don't like her as this character. I think she actually delivers what I think is a great line, that there are bad guys and there are worse guys, but it just it's weightless.
No resonance, yeah.
It's weightless to me. Should we continue? Any other comments?
Almost over.
Okay, almost over. Let's get it over.
Eventually, you come to realize that there are bad guys and there are worse guys and nothing else. Look at you. So adorable.
Don't worry, she's bulletproof. What happened to bulletproof? It's bulletproof-ish.
Is that Bucky?
That's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. I feel like if Marvel had been good for a while, that maybe we would receive this differently, but it hasn't, and we're not receiving this very well.
No.
But here's the thing, here's the thing for me with the Marvel movies. One of the things I've always loved about them is spending time with the characters, right? Because I thought they had really, fun and interesting characters, and that's that's the thing that really I love about the Marvel universe, right? But then, look, I actually have to say I am looking forward to this movie because I like some of these characters and seeing their further journeys. But it did slowly creeping in when I watched this trailer for the first time this morning. There was a sense of, oh, this is Marvel's Suicide Squad.
It's 100. Well, they've always had the Thunderbolts as a Suicide Squad. That's why the asterisk. It's not even the
Thunderbolts. I never read the comics.
No, but they didn't know. Like the Thunderbolt story was way better than that, man. They turned it to the Suicide Squad eventually, but originally the Thunderbolts were a team. They were supposed to be good guys put together by Baron Zemo, right? And they were calling themselves something different. and then they got exposed that, oh, these are just all old villains who have jumped into the media to become these heroes, right? And it was all just a rouge. And they could have went with a story like that. And I get that, maybe that's just too far gone at this point with Marvel, and they had to just go with the Suicide Squad angle. But the problem is we already had the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And that's what this is now.
Well,
and
also,
there was that sense of dread, like as the trailer, like this is for being a long trailer, it was like I was slowly realizing this over the course of the 2.5, 3 minutes. I was like, oh.
And the thing that sucks is I like all of the actors in that, and I feel bad for them. I feel like what a waste, man.
Here's what I think the trailer does badly. And the older I get, the more I realize the reason I've loved genre material, science fiction, fantasy material, and horror my whole life is there's always a premise that interests me. Whether it's not just a werewolf, but give me a werewolf that's James Bond, like in Robert McCammon's The Wolf's Hour, or do something where I'm like, oh, the possibilities are there. What this trailer doesn't do is tell you what this team is going to be doing in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. This movie might as well not exist in the Marvel universe. We know these characters are MCU, but what does this movie have to do with the MCU itself? And that's what I found. I know it's a teaser, but why am I watching this movie? How does this movie relate to the other 30 plus movies that I've been watching? Because everything has to relate in some way to the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this is coming on the heels of Captain America: Brave New World. And maybe there's something that happens in there that this is picking up on. But there's not even an inkling other than, oh, it's an espionage team, which could be on any streamer or whatever. But this is an MCU misfit team put together to do what? They don't even hint. And all we get at the end is a car stunt in the middle of the desert between Bucky and a limo.
Oh, but it looked like the beginning of Iron Man. So that's why. Because remember the beginning of Iron Man, Rob? You liked Iron Man, and it looks like the stretch of road when he gets attacked.
Yeah, but that even in that, it was a lot of fun because in that stretch of in Iron Man, we even saw in the trailer what kind of a guy Tony Stark was, and he's traveling with the military and everything. Yeah. And because we saw that over 30 movies ago, haven't we progressed? Yeah. I mean, the MCU by definition asks you to care about that universe. The universe itself is one of the draws. And while, like Paul, I love these actors. I like the characters. It looks like they've updated Taskmaster, and it looks like that's interesting. But what are they doing?
Joining us late,
to do with the MCU?
My friend, film producer, screenwriter, filmmaker Jim Agnew is joining us. He asked to be on because we're going to talk about The Substance. We're doing the reaction to the Thunderbolts trailer, so we're talking all things Marvel. Jim, how's it going?
Good. I just watched the trailer with you guys backstage. I have one thought, and what I was thinking about is that, they talk about in music scenes, like when there was heavy metal in the 80s and grunge music, there's always like the innovators, and then there's people who copy them, and then there's a copy of a copy, and that's what kills music scenes. It's like a copy of a copy of a copy. And watching that trailer, I'm like, okay, Thunderbolts is like a copy of Black Widow. Black Widow was a copy of Winter Soldier. It's like they just keep copying. It's like, Zero, you keep losing a level every time you keep copying the stuff.
Keep stepping on the good stuff, and we're not getting the high we used to, and I won't stand for it anymore. We need to just cut it cold turkey.
Exactly.
I'm sure there's a Human Centipede reference in there somewhere, but I just can't put it together right now.
Yeah. I think it looks fine. I don't. The thing is, I'll say this: I don't hate it. I actually don't hate it.
It's not
just, how does this fit in? Do we need this movie?
I'll tell you why.
It feels inconsequential. It feels like, okay, yes, we're gonna get another Marvel movie. It's gonna be yet in the long line of Marvel movies. I just don't care. It's not consequential, doesn't feel important. Right. We're seeing a lot of characters that, some of these characters have only appeared once on, I guess US Agents only appeared like once or twice maybe, and I haven't been able to really get into these characters. I just don't care. I mean, sure, it might be a good movie. I'll definitely watch it, but a trailer should build hype and anticipation, and this didn't do any of that for me. You know, it just felt like another trailer, and I'm like, all right, cool, another trailer.
Yeah, but it was
See
only
what
a
happens.
teaser.
And
Yeah,
by the way,
teaser.
they are going to have to reintroduce all of these characters because, I mean, the one Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, how many years ago was that? 8 years ago? I mean, and, you know, some of the characters were introduced in the Disney Plus series, and the Disney Plus numbers, the biggest thing on Disney Plus is Blue's Clues.
No,
Disney
it's
adults-
Bluey. It's Bluey.
No, Bluey. That's right. Sorry, Bluey. I don't know what it is. It's for little kids. Okay. I'm just saying that people are not aware of this. They are going to have to reintroduce all these characters again. You know, so
They weren't popular the first time. Spoiler. So
Yeah, let me. I'll tell you why I hate this.
What's the running time of the
I'm getting
movie?
sick and tired of comic Marvel, of comedy Marvel. You know, when Iron Man came out, when Thor came out, when Captain America came out, it was all dramatic, very serious. There was not comedy. It wasn't until Guardians of the Galaxy that came in, and it became a comedy, and it should have because it took place in space. But when it was on Earth, it was deadly serious. And you know, this just opens up with, you know, I'm going to report you to DoorDash HQ. It's Marvel has gone off book by making everything a comedy now because they think everything needs to be a James Gunn movie, basically.
Well,
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. Any final thoughts before we pivot to Agatha?
I'll say one thing though. What Alan was just talking about. I think a lot of these writers now think that making the characters sad saps or just kind of dipshits is what makes them a character. So it's like, let's make him a loser. Okay, he's complaining about DoorDash. His place is dirty. It's like, you know what, character, you know, action character. You need to see, like, you know, people do badass stuff because they're badass characters, not, you know, complain about.
Can you make Captain America patriotic today?
Right. How hard is that?
It's very hard. That's the problem.
I'll tell you an issue I have. Honestly, it's the premise, right? Because as far as I know, what last I read about the movie is that they're supposed to be fighting the Sentry, right? Who is literally
good luck.
Who is literally Marvel's version of Superman. So they put together a team of people with no abilities except for like a few, except for like U.S. Agent and Ghost, I think, have abilities, right, to fight Superman. And this is the problem I had with Suicide Squad, man. It's like in the comics, all of these teams had various types of characters on that team with different power levels, right? Some were really strong, some were, you know, assassin levels, some actually had real abilities, man. And they fought other superpowered beings. So you have now just this team of pretty much soldiers fighting Superman, right? And sure, and somehow they're going to win.
Well, this is more like The Boys, I guess, than Suicide Squad. But I'm having some problems with my internet. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
I
Cool.
just hate when they take a cool concept of a team and then they reduce it down to, oh, they're just soldiers, right? When in the comics, all these people have different abilities.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. Alan's taller in real life. Let's
Way
talk about
taller.
Agatha All Along.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can. What?
Agatha All Along has debuted on Disney Plus with 2-episode premiere. It came out to a lot of fanfare. A lot of people excited about this show. It is the follow-up and the sequel to WandaVision. Alan and I have seen the first 4 episodes.
Lucky you.
You guys have seen the first 2. What do we think of Agatha? What do we think of this show and what they're doing. I don't know. Alan and I reviewed it last week. I want to hear your guys' thoughts if you would chime in.
I just want to say I blame the Variety interviewer because they're the ones that say, I've heard this is the gayest show, and then they go along with it. But they are the ones that keep starting this, the gayest Disney Acolyte. It's these interviewers.
Right.
I have to say, I thought the first half of the first episode was pretty genius.
Yeah.
The whole when based on WandaVision, the Nordic spelling of WandaVision, and the fact that they did what they did in WandaVision in terms of duplicating a kind of show and making Agatha a detective in a Norwegian Americanized Nordic crime show. I thought that was really inspired. I thought the way it was done, I thought the bad dialogue, I thought all of that was great. And it tied in, and I was really excited for it. And then toward the end of the show, it got a little conventional, and I decided, I was like, I really love this. I'm just going to leave it here. I'm just going to watch that first episode and pretend that's all I got. Because then I don't have to, I can say that was clever. I really enjoyed it. It was one episode, and I just backed away.
But you missed
I have
the
no
song.
idea where it's going to go.
I'll be honest, man. I didn't hate it. It was just fine. Like, honestly, if this wasn't an MCU show, if it was just a show about witches, right? Like, just because it's Halloween season, the whole deal, I think this would have worked a lot better. I think if this wasn't tied to the MCU, which I guess it has to be because of Wanda and what happened, but I would have been fine with it. But
that's what I was saying. It should have been Hocus Pocus 3. It should have been.
If it was that, it would have worked perfectly. But it was fine. Like, I didn't hate. I thought I would hate it. I thought I'd despise it, even with the song. Even with the song in the second episode, I still didn't hate it. It just left me very numb. Like, okay, I watched that. I've seen worse.
Dante, what was worse? What was worse, the chant or the song?
No,
I mean the Acolyte chant or the song. What was worse to you? The power of one.
Yeah. Oh no, that was absolutely worse.
That was worse. Okay.
Yes, because at least the song they could sing. At least they harmonized. At least it sounded pretty good.
It rhymed,
Gore left because he doesn't want to talk about this. Yeah, he left. He doesn't like it.
For the most part, man, I think most people are going to walk away from the show with nothing, just no emotion.
Mm-hmm. It's like Echo. Okay, it's going to be forgotten about, dude.
This happened. Like it's not even going to be as hated as the Acolyte. It's just going to be, okay, this happened.
But what's really sad to me about this whole thing is, okay, we've got the MCU and they slowly built it up. Like, I was curious when the MCU started, how are they going to make Tony Stark, as played by Robert Downey Jr., exist with Chris Hemsworth as Thor and introduce the idea of Asgard, Midgard, all of that, and then make Steve Rogers work tonally together. And they did a masterful job, and they slowly built on that. And what was missing from the MCU was the supernatural. The supernatural has always been a huge part of the MCU. You've got villains like Mephisto. You've got Ghost Rider. You've got Blade. You've got clandestine societies of vampires. How are they then going to layer in the supernatural to the MCU and make us believe? Like, for instance, if Thanos snaps his fingers, are vampires affected? Are they part of that food chain, or are they the undead? How does the supernatural respond? And I know this is a kind of a nutty question, but it's a question that the MCU is demanding we ask, and they've treated, to me, the supernatural as a joke. The MCU is and making the whole idea of, I mean, Doctor Strange, seeing Dormammu in the first Doctor Strange movie was pretty awesome. Now, how does that connect with the rest of, and I want to know, if you're going to bring in Blade and you have the cursed Blade at the end of Eternals that we saw, you have a really great opportunity to layer in, like, has the supernatural always been part of the MCU and we just haven't seen it? Have vampires existed for thousands of years? And if so, where have they been? I mean, we know Agatha has existed for hundreds of years, but now it's this goofy, funny, bewitched, I Dream a Genie bullshit. And I'm like, it has made the idea of the supernatural in the MCU completely destroyed.
All I can say is I can't believe I'm surrounded by so many guys.
No,
I feel
ban
like
this
I'm
man.
in West Hollywood right now. This is the best. Let me just ask: is this the gayest episode of Versus that's ever happened?
I hope so, because that's what I signed up for.
Do you agree? This is the gayest episode of Versus. I know you're talking about Agatha. Oh my God! Let's get Alan over here. I like Alan's so cute. He's so cute. How you doing, Alan?
This is what I signed up for. I don't know what you're doing.
Gayest episode of Versus that's ever.
Gonna hurt your
I hope
existed.
so. This is what I signed up
So
for.
gay. It's so gay. Oh my God, my chocolate man.
Oh.
Is this the gayest episode of Versus you've ever been on?
There's going to be a gay explosion by the end of this.
Oh my God, let me get this other creamsicle right here. Oh my God, it's the DA. I got a BA. You can figure out what that is. Is this the gayest episode of Versus you've ever been on? Do you agree?
Yes, it absolutely.
Badger.
Oh.
Badger, my furry honey. Oh my God. I'm not into hairy men, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Oh, I want to turn your face into a glazed donut. Look, is this the gayest episode of Versus you've ever been on? Do you agree?
It has to be. It has to be. I agree. Yes. I'm feeling gayer by the second, actually.
Thank you, Jim. Jim, you work in Hollywood. I know it doesn't get any gayer than Hollywood. Is this the gayest episode you've ever been on? Do you agree? Do you agree?
Good thing I haven't seen the show.
All right. Well, you gentlemen get back to gaying it up.
Jeez.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm never trying to make a
was
serious
really
point
bad.
on this show ever again. I'm just saying.
Nah.
That's what I get for blaming him for starting everything.
This is what we signed up for, fellas. This is what we signed up for.
I hope Chris's internet gets better.
Chris, take some honey for the throat. Something tells me it's gonna be a little sore after doing all of this.
Holy crap!
I mean it though. Those people on the red carpet, that guy and another one that did not the gayest Star Wars. They set the tone for all of us, and then we all make articles, and it's like you got to tell them to stop answering affirmative to those type of questions. Oh, hi,
Well,
Chris.
that's what I meant by Disney needs,
variety.
Disney needs to rein in their talent, man. They need to like put these people in a room and tell them or give them training, give them media training. Because I don't think any of these people have media training. Weird. They got to stop this.
Okay, by the way, I don't know how that guy got the link to come on the show, and he did come on the show. That will not happen again. And Rob, my apologies.
It's fine.
I didn't mean to ruin your
Look, I'm
point.
gay adjacent. It's fine.
There you go. There you
We're
go.
California.
Disney
We all
Sparkle. That's what it is. So there you
I have
go.
a boy doll behind me. I mean, what are you?
Oh my God. But what?
Child's
So
play.
what is this? What is this all? And Rob, you were making a point. This was introducing magic witchcraft into the world. But why? I was unaware that witches were gay was a thing. I didn't even know that witches being gay was something that I guess everyone but me knew that.
Well, I guess it's the year of witch covens. You know, we've got Sith coven witches, and we've got these witches, and the whole sapphic. You know, witches are banding together to. I guess the idea, the power of femininity coming through, the power of birth, the power of creation, whatever.
She said
I don't
it's
mind.
witches are outcast, so they're naturally like maybe the original definition of queer. They're naturally outcasted and all this. Like, okay,
We got
All right.
Wicked coming out. We got Wicked coming out in a couple of months, right?
it's gonna be great.
But no, I really do agree with Rob, man. I think that when it comes to, you have to. I mean, look, man, magic is just a part of Marvel. Like,
Yeah.
not even the MCU. We're talking Marvel comics, right? And for me, at least for the comics I read, magic has always been taken serious in the comics, right? And the fact that every time we've seen it in the MCU, it's goofy and dumb, except for that first Doctor Strange movie. It's now they've painted themselves into this weird corner where if they try to do something serious with magic, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. because
Well,
they've
supernatural.
already built up that magic is goofy. in the
Wolfman.
MCU.
Yeah, well, they
and
interviewed
had the
Werewolf
Night.
by Night. I
Yeah,
mean, they
there you go.
interviewed Man Thing, who's the nexus. They introduced Man Thing, who's the nexus of realities, and there's all kinds of really interesting. Like in Blade, if you go back to Stephen Norrington's first Blade, you had a whole secret society of vampires that had been coexisting with humans for years and years and years. And if they were there, and if I guess maybe the problem. I've always thought that the problem they're having with the Blade film is how do you introduce those concepts into the MCU, and how come they weren't already introduced before? Like, how come the Avengers or how come the Sorcerer Supremes aren't also talking to the clandestine vampire world order? Like, wouldn't they all know about each other? Wouldn't they have crossed paths? Wouldn't they have teamed up over the centuries if need be?
Right. Why did the Fantastic Four show up?
And then you've got like the Ten Rings. You have that Wuxia land, you've got all that stuff going on too. How does that then tie in with the Sorcerer Supremes and all the witches that have existed for hundreds of years? And it like you just said, Verbal, it bothers me as a Marvel Comics fan my entire life that they have not looked into the supernatural of it all.
Alan, you have the ratings for Agatha. Could you put those up and let's see where it stands in comparison to other shows?
Oops.
I want to know how it what? Oh, you said oops. Wait.
Yeah, sorry, I had the wrong graphic up.
Okay, that's all good. It's all good. So
Here we go. These are the top 10 television shows on streaming: Perfect Couple, Emily in Paris, Into the Fire, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Rings of Power is amazingly doing well. Tulsa King, Selling Sunset, Tulsa King again, Bad Monkey, and Outlast.
Wow.
Where is Agatha?
It must.
It didn't make the top 10. Can you find it even on the list? So even Rings of Power, with the apathy that is Rings of Power, this it hasn't even hit into this. God.
Well, it does say September. Oh, it's 13th through 19th. Yeah, okay. So it should be.
Beating Tulsa King.
Yeah,
is sad, but
13th
not
to
everyone
19th.
has-
This is Agatha should be on this
Two
list.
episodes of Agatha.
I mean, in all fairness, what Agatha came out, the 18th, I think. So, I mean, it only had like a couple of days. All the rest of these had like a whole week of, viewership on that. So, in all fairness, Agatha did come in at the tail end of the total watch time. But I mean, I don't think it's going to do any better than this anyway. What's that?
This goes to Thursday, so you do have the
So you would have had Wednesday and Thursday. You had 2 days, whereas most of these others had the whole 7 days to stack up as many minutes watched in that time frame as it could. So, but listen, I don't think it's going to make any difference. I don't think a lot of people are watching this. There's very little discussion going on with Agatha, even after all the naked Agatha walking around. On I mean, a lot of people talked about that, but outside of that, is there anybody talking about this? Anybody interested in this show? And I don't think anybody cares. I think this is like as bottom of the barrel as it gets when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in terms of interest.
You know why? Because it's an Agatha Harkness show. Who asked for Agatha Harkness?
The people that like the Agatha All Along jingle that was good for about 2 or 3 weeks, during WandaVision 3 years ago.
So that one jingle warranted an 8-episode TV show?
No.
Yes, apparently.
This was all greenlit during the time where they were fully compromised and doing all the things for all the wrong reasons, and now we're stuck with it, and it all has to come out.
So
it's going to be a part of the trilogy.
Chris and I got screeners on Monday. Well, we got the first 4 episodes. We were allowed to watch it starting Monday morning. We could do social reactions Monday night, but we couldn't offer a formal review until Wednesday night, 6:00 p.m. Pacific, when the show premiered. And that shows you how dedicated Disney is behind this show. They're not.
Yeah. Well, I think one quick thing is that, I think Dante made the best point about the show when he said it was fine, how has that become the bar for Marvel TV?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's fine. It's the whole TV operation to me has been like one of the worst debacles in entertainment ever. Like, what's the best TV show they put out?
Answer that question. What is the best one?
WandaVision, yeah.
I would say
Is
so.
it WandaVision? Is it Loki? I liked Loki better than WandaVision.
Maybe the
first
Halloween
season.
special from last year.
That was really good.
Werewolf by
Werewolf
Night.
by Night was
Werewolf by
amazing.
Night. Yeah.
But
But in terms of like a full series, like an actual series with multiple episodes, I would say with Loki is better than WandaVision.
Yeah,
but
it has to be
solid.
Loki.
Those two. Yeah.
The first season. Yeah.
They
The
all,
first season, yeah.
So it's Marvel. They should all be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're
Well,
I,
of course.
I checked out after Moon Knight. Couldn't do it anymore.
Oh man. Oh,
God, I
Knight
even
was
forgot
garbage.
what a
about that.
waste. What a
So
waste.
I literally forgot about that show.
I don't know that this really reflects the ratings because it's kind of caught on the tail end. We'll check in next week because we'll see. And that third episode and the fourth episode, what the show devolves into, what you're about to see happen, it's going to turn into a series of escape rooms. Episode 3 and episode 4, they change outfits and it becomes an escape room scenario. And that's the next 2 episodes.
Also, if you thought you loved that song, wait till you hear it as a 60s rock ballad.
Oh, God.
Do I get to see Catherine Hahn naked again, or is it just singing?
Well, you'll see some cleavage. I think that scene is. I'll find it. Give me a minute. I'll find it.
Yeah. And then the almost kiss.
Oh,
that's something to look forward to.
Aubrey Plaza and Horn. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that, by the way. It's fine. That's a clip I can watch. I don't need to watch all the episodes for that.
Yeah, when you have a TV show with Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza, and you struggle for good things to say about it, that's not good, man.
Dante, they do this to all the actors, and Rob, you mentioned too. Like they're all competent actors and actresses that we've seen in other. Even Moses Ingram, Reva is good in Queen's Gambit, and they just—it's the quality and whatever the environment. They just all forget how to act and be present, and how could they, right? And so,
Well, and that's why I laugh when they call us sexist and bigots and all this stuff, because, like I just said, I love Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza, and I will watch them in anything. But this is garbage, man. But yeah, people will listen to us talk and say, "Oh, we just don't want anything led by women."
Yeah, and by the way, last year my favorite movie was Emily the Criminal with Aubrey Plaza. Maybe it was 2 years ago it came out. But that's one of my favorite movies.
Sing it now. I would say some Disney like D23 type thing, trying to hype it out, where they all came on stage and said,
Look,
it doesn't scream.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
I get that the MCU is trying to clean up. I get that. I get that they're trying to, course correct, and they were locked into these shows. There's nothing they could do about it. They have to put them out. I get that. It's just not helping them though. It's not helping them. They should have found a way to shelve these things, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Why is that chant in English?
You wanted an
Why
ancient
isn't
Gaelic?
it not
Oh my
Anal
God.
Nathrak Uthra Spetho Dothiel
It should be something like that. By the way,
I mean, seriously.
By
come
the
on,
way,
man.
they're selling merch on the Disney Store website.
Oh, it's gonna end up in the employee-only store.
I survived the Witch's Road.
Oh.
That's the shirt.
Yes.
You can get now on.
Chris,
that's
did you see that
crazy.
story that there's a Disney employee-only like discount store, and it's filled with gay pride and Acolyte and all these overabundance of like things that they couldn't sell? That will end up there. The Acolyte shirts.
I found the clip that I want to show. This is from episode 4, which you guys haven't seen yet. It's it's here we go. It's behind the ballad. Ready, Alan?
Yeah. Full screen, by the way.
Oh, this isn't it. Sorry, I'll ignore me for a second. I'll find it.
Pay no
I'll
attention to
find
that
it.
man.
I know, but you can clearly see Disney wants to make this song a thing. And I don't know why. It's out of context. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not. Look, I just went to a really great musical, and the thing I require in a musical is you come out humming at least one song, and this song just doesn't do it.
I mean, it was in my head, but that's just because it was a virus, not because it was super catchy. You think they're trying to get it to chart like All Along did?
I think they want. I think they want at the Halloween meetup at Disney for groups to show up and sing the song.
That's why instead of just releasing it all at once, like we thought, they're stretching it out so it ends during
So
or
it
at
ends around Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last episode is the day before Halloween, I think. Or the
Oh.
yeah, they're doing like on October 30th. The last 2 episodes hit that same time. Yeah.
Here's the clip. It's a promo. It says episode 3. I thought it was episode 4. Am I wrong, Alan?
I don't know what clip you're playing. So
okay, it's the rock and roll, so we can see
that is episode 4.
If you liked Catherine Hahn's behind and her fully nude, you're gonna get some cleavage, boobs, and we have another boob conversation when we talk about substance. Here, it's only 50 seconds.
Agatha Harkness. You've been under the influence of another.
How do we pass this trial?
Worst nightmares.
I heard you guys were having a party. What's up? The bodies are really piling up.
Why do you let them believe those things about you?
Because the truth is too awful. I just need these witches to get me to the end.
I received.
That's episode 4.
Nor booba.
Wasn't what I wanted to show.
Yeah, that's episode 4, though.
Now that's a
all I can say is, look, serious question, Rob. Is down the witch's road a euphemism for some other act? When you go down the witch's road,
I've heard that Batman doesn't go down the witch's road on.
That's why it's the gayest MCU show ever.
Dude, I've been going down the witch's road since I was 13, and I've loved every minute of it. Okay. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, I was serious about that. I never lie about that. But no, look, again, the tone of this show. You know, what was really interesting about WandaVision was the first 3 episodes were, of course, recreating the whole sitcoms. Mm-hmm. And then when you got into episode 4 and you were outside of Westview and you saw, like, it suddenly became very serious, and the threat changed, and the tone of the show changed, and it became like Wanda is a level 1 mutant that could threaten the whole planet. And they did a really good job of playing with those tones.
Omega level
mutant, right? This show, what I look at it and I feel nothing. I feel like I literally am watching something that isn't part of the MCU.
That Thunderbolts trailer, apathy.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I again, it's not because I don't like to review things based on what I wanted them to be. But if something like this gets made, and I feel that Marvel has had a real problem that in phase 4 and 5, that nothing feels connected. You know, they should have connected this to their one-off Werewolf by Night, where you had Man-Thing and you had this. I mean, maybe they will, but there were some really intriguing ideas, and that was a one-off. That was a 50-minute one-off. And I look at this and I just look again. I left it at 1 episode. Now I'm going to have to go in and watch all the rest just to see where it goes. But if you look at this and compare it to like Winter Soldier, it's not that different. Marvel has addressed different genres, like 70s conspiracy thrillers, even to the point of getting Robert Redford to be in Winter Soldier. That was genius. They did a really great job of doing that, going in and making Ant-Man a fun heist movie. You know, like Rafifi or something. Maybe not Rafifi, Ocean's 11, but something that's good and making it all work. I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, does this have to be Hocus Pocus? I mean, I keep waiting for Bette Midler to show up. And I really want to watch. I want to watch something that adds to the tapestry of the MCU. I mean, I was all in. The 23 movies of the Infinity Saga, I was in. They were great. Even the lesser films I enjoyed. And I feel that was what made Marvel successful. And there's been no effort. Even Deadpool and Wolverine really doesn't fit. I mean, I guess it's got the TVA in it, but it's pretty inconsequential to the rest of the Marvel universe. I mean, sure, they can do something with it because it's the multiverse, but I just feel it's adrift. The entire franchise is completely adrift. Yeah. And this show does nothing to change that opinion for me.
Yeah,
I wanted it to.
They could have done the craft.
I think that's what that's one of the issues that Marvel has, is they've kind of lost the crowd of people that would have came to watch this because it was part of that bigger universe. But because it feels so disconnected, I think the multiverse was just a horrible idea. Just diving into something that's going to have so many different tendrils, you don't know how it all connects, and you're going to have to watch all of it to see if you can maybe make sense of it. I think that was a huge mistake Marvel made with phases 4 and 5. They should have went in a completely different direction. But to Rob's point, it doesn't feel like it belongs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's what a lot of people fell in love with, is what the first 3 phases of Marvel was. And so if you get away from that and you're really kind of floundering and trying to find your way, I think they've just lost so many of the normie, regular, run-of-the-mill general audience members that could care less about anything but, hey, tell me a good story. That's all they're looking for. I don't think Agatha is this like horrible, terrible show for the first half. I thought the first half of the first episode, like Rob said, was solid, and then it just sharply goes off the side of a cliff down into the abyss, because now it's just, what is this? We're just getting characters. It's like we're putting together a team. We got a lot of quirky different things happening, but nothing seems to feel like Marvel. And that's one of the biggest problems that this franchise has ran into, because they didn't stick to the script. They didn't do what the fans originally loved from the very beginning.
But is it the gayest? Is it the absolute gayest of all? Is
You
it?
are a terrorist, sir.
Anyways, all right. Another show debuted that I just watched and I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's certain series where you see the first episode, you're hooked. I watched The Penguin. My God, what a great show. From the opening scene that plays out very tense moments, it has a little bit of Sopranos. It takes whatever you thought of the Batman, and I have a lot of problems with that movie. This show is a first episode. Really impressed. Colin Farrell knocked it out of the park. It's consistent with the Batman in terms of, it takes place days after, a week after or so. And wow,
it's supposed to lead right into the second movie, which is why I have faith it won't fall off, because it's going somewhere.
We don't know. I got a clip to play, but I was really impressed. For those who have seen it, who's seen it? I saw it. Please chime in with your thoughts on The Penguin. I want to hear what you thought.
I'll tell you, I was blown away by it. I actually watched it with my son, and I said to him right after, I'm like, you recognize like when you watch something that's really amazing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just on every level this show delivered, and I'm much more of a Marvel guy. I've always been more of a Marvel guy, but I've always like respected like The Dark Knight as being like one of the top tier superhero movies. But yeah, watching The Penguin last night, just on I kept on like turning to him and saying like, wow, like the dialogue, the characterization, like everything about this first episode, I was hooked. Yeah. I was absolutely hooked. I was so impressed by this.
Yeah, Sophia Falcone, the actress, I'm not sure what her name is, but man, she absolutely is so disturbing, man. Her character and the way she's playing that character, she crushed it in this role. Colin Farrell obviously completely disappears into the character of the Penguin. You would never know that was Colin Farrell playing that guy unless somebody told you that was Colin Farrell, because you don't see any piece of Colin Farrell in that. I think he's doing a great job. I even like the young man, and I can't remember his name, but the guy that's playing
Vic Aguilar is the character. Yeah, though. I love him.
I love that guy, man. Yeah. And to me, like those 3 characters, I am all in to find out how this thing finalizes. But I mean, you see the show starts off with the Penguin doing something like absolutely insane and crazy, and then he encounters Sophia Falcone, and it's like, who's going to out crazy the crazy here? Because that chick is on a different level, man. She is insane. And then even the scene with his mother, like there's so many juicy scenes with this show. I've watched it like a couple of times, as opposed to Agatha, which I've seen once and probably will never watch again. But I've watched this one episode a couple of times just to soak it in, because the acting, the writing, the directing, everything, the mood, the tone, everything I love, and you don't need to really, if you don't even like the Batman, if you didn't like the Batman, I don't think this will, I don't think this will be ruined. If you watch this, I think you can watch this without liking the Batman and absolutely enjoy this for what it is, because I dug it, man. I thought this was great. This is how you do a franchise, folks. If you want to take over a franchise and borrow from Star Wars, from Star Trek to Marvel, whatever, and you want to deliver the goods, this is how you do it, So yeah, I loved it, man. I thought it was amazing.
Same. Anyone
Rob,
else?
Did you?
Anyone
I do,
else?
but it seemed like Rob wanted to.
I
totally second everybody's that opening scene when he goes into the office, then confronts Falcone's son, the kid from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I love that opening scene. I was just gonna taste the show because I had to leave, and I ended up sitting down and being late for where I was going because I wanted to watch the whole thing. It was so good.
Now I mine the internet for clips or things to show, whatever. And I gotta say, there's every franchise now does their own official podcast. Marvel has one, the Penguin. Basically, when I see stuff like this, I feel like they're moving in on my territory. My territory podcast. You moving in? You moving in on this? You making a move? But HBO has a podcast, official podcast for the Penguin. I listened to the first episode. Matt Reeves is on the show. He says something very interesting. I just want to play. It's like about 30 seconds, but let's give it a listen, Alan, if you would.
And it said that the whole first episode would be this kid who chose the exact wrong moment and time and place to be, which is to steal this guy's hubcaps. This is the wrong moment for you to be doing this with these guys. And that puts him where, by all rights, by the end of the episode, he should be dead. And that this creates this unlikely relationship between the two of them, like that we fell in love with. And then it was like, oh, wait, we're now going to see this relationship with Francis. This is really the key to who he is. He has this mother who has Lewy body dementia, and she is this incredible figure. And then the other idea was that we would meet Sophia Falcone, and that she was known as the Hangman, and she has a relationship with Oz that we don't yet understand, but is the key to everything.
Can I just say real quick?
She's the woman that's the key to everything.
The stealing of the hubcaps is just like Batman catching Jason Todd, the second Robin stealing the hubcaps of the Batmobile.
I thought that was cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But I've fallen in love with so many shows from the first episode or two, and it doesn't stick the landing. Will the Penguin, and I care about these characters. I'll be back for, I think it's Thursday. I'll be watching. Is it gonna stick the landing?
I think it will. I loved the show from the first scene when he did what he did, and I went, hell yeah! I was like, I got what kind of scene we were gonna get. He's already. I love the Batman too, by the way, so we can have conversations. So I'm already went in wanting to like it, but afraid that would get a modern, what they get. Instead, layers upon layers. They didn't make his father an evil patriarchy, and that's the reason he does what he does. I'm fine with the mother. I already clipped her out. Are you a little pussy boy? That's clip that gets played all the time on my streams. The reason I have faith is because Matt has said that the TV shows will be used to flesh out other characters that can't get full movies, and that this is all leading, including the time jumps, directly into that second movie. And this is how the Penguin, the lackey for Falcone, becomes the Penguin. And I can't wait.
This is what Marvel should have been doing with
and also Sophia Falcone. Sophia Falcone in the comics is a very big, butchy, ugly woman, and the fact that they made her a smaller, beautiful, but crazy with the eyes, Melody is doing a great job in that role. So I have faith. I do have faith.
One of the things I really liked was also the use of the ring. I won't go into
great plot device.
Great. It was so. I was like, oh God, what are you doing like that? And like, oh, this is, and then ultimately what we understand his motivation for grabbing the ring was
it felt like smart people did it, and they expected us to be smart. And so there was a couple layers. The conversation at dinner is a back and forth. Ooh, he had it until he said that, and then she saw it's that you have to be smart to write that, and you just don't see smart writing.
It's such a contrast between Agatha, which seems like amateur hour, and then you see the Penguin, which is like HBO knows how to make television. You care from the opening scene to the closing to even these moments where when Penguin, you actually see his foot, the one where he's limping, and you actually see how deformed.
He apparently had a prosthetic Mr. Pinky, Mr. Penguin for the naked scene. It was detachable.
Right. That was amazing. I mean, Colin Farrell, you're right. You don't, where is he in that makeup? You can't picture him where he is. It's such a contrast between amateur and cheap and dumb and lowest common denominator to compelling TV where I don't feel like I've wasted my time. I'm all in on Penguin for the whole series. Even if it, doesn't quite stick the landing, I'm already there. So,
the scene that really, was so great was when they're in that junkyard scene, and when they're putting the body in the back, and he says to the kid, like he's saying, turn around, look at the sunset, kind of that's that scene. But when he's explaining to him, it's like, look, the play here is just to kill, it's obviously
it was
to
a
get
great.
rid of it. It's such a great. The trajectory of that scene is so.
But also, you know what a sunset or a sunrise means? Because it was a sunrise. No Batman. No Batman. You made it. That was the whole thing. It was like, what? Because it was he made it without getting caught by the bat. It's layers upon layers upon layers to that if you nerd out. Yeah.
I wonder if will we see the Batman in this? Will we have an episode with Batman?
He said no, but he also never said no Bruce Wayne. He think he might try to get sneaky because we did hear Robert Pattinson was on set, even if that was just visiting. But for those futures, he said, yeah, we might see Batman and Bruce if they could do it right. But
well, I'm all in.
Look, I don't need to see him, to be honest with you. I'm loving everything we're getting right here. And those two characters, Vic Aguilar and Oz Cobb, I guess that's what they're calling him, Oz Cobb or the Penguin. Every moment that they're together on screen, I am just like entranced by the conversations. And then they all pay off. They had that conversation about the slushies, and then they pay it off at the end of the show with the two guys just sitting there drinking the slush. I said, oh, thank you. I love that, man. Moment. That is the kind of stuff that we need to get from all of these guys. I hope they're paying attention. I'm never going to stop praising this thing because I'm hoping on the other end of the Penguin, we get more shows like the Penguin because we deserve them as fans.
Didn't you guys used to do that, by the way? Mix the sodas?
Yes, of course we did.
So it was like, oh man,
it doesn't do that.
That's why it was so good. It was like, oh, a real person wrote this with an actual life experience, not some sort of weird. Yeah,
it's so good, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, let's final thoughts on Penguin. We have one last topic. We got to get to supers. Anyone?
8 out of 10 for me. I'm looking forward to the rest.
Same. Hey, I'm sold. Now let's talk about a movie that is a point of controversy. The Substance. For those who have seen it, there was a mixed reaction at the screening. I have seen this movie 3 times now. I saw it where the director was in attendance. She did a Q&A. I saw it twice in a row last week at Burbank. And then I was there the next day. I popped my head in. It was packed, every seat full. I just popped my head in to look at the faces. I didn't look at the movie. I knew it was happening. I looked at people's faces. People are having a visceral reaction to this movie. And I found this on Twitter. Very interesting here. It's if you've seen The Substance, if you like The Substance, then you'll like these movies. Society, Videodrome, Frankenhooker, Death Becomes Her, Brain Damage, The Fly, Reanimator, Basket Case, Brain Dead, Bad Biology, From Beyond, Evil Dead Rise, Black Swan, Greener Grass. So these are just some of the influences. I would say in terms of body horror, it's very Cronenberg. Thoughts from everyone, because Alan loved it.
Not anymore though, but
but
we'll get
Can I jump in? Because I'll tell you,
jump in. We're talking
this. And I saw it with Chris, and Chris was always like saying, like, you've got to watch this movie. I just want you to watch this movie. But I was already sold on this movie anyway, and it did exceed my expectations. And I said to you, I said, oh, it's sort of like Cronenberg did Black Swan, so it's kind of funny to see that list there. But I see everything. I mean, I love just going, and I love seeing a movie that sort of surprises me in its audacity and surprises me. And it's like, we're going to kind of do something different here and do something kind of special. It was the same sort of feeling I had when I saw Everything All at Once, where I walked out of the movie like on cloud nine and wow, I just saw something unique and special here. And it is, wow. I mean, first of all, very brave performances by our two lead actresses, but I was just so taken by this movie. It instantly went to my favorite film of the year.
Well, unfortunately, Alan disagrees. Who would like to debate
I
Alan?
thought one of the
this?
performances was brave, but not the other one, as I soon learned this weekend.
Right.
What?
If you're speaking about prosthetics, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I have that ready to go.
Pull that up.
What's this? I don't know. I haven't heard this.
Pull it. Oh no,
Pull it
I'm
up.
sorry. We're going to break some movie magic. Those were not Margaret Qualley's breasts.
Wait, what?
I'm serious.
Worst movie of the year.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
That changes everything.
But
I don't worst movie of the year.
This is
That's
from
not a
of all things.
Demi Moore.
Yeah, next you're going to tell me that was Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. Come on.
Here we go. Where is this? Here we go. Alan, you like breasts. Well, I'll just look. Margaret Qualley was given
alluding to that fact, by the way.
Margaret Qualley was given prosthetic boobs to endow me with the rack of a lifetime for the substance. First of all, she was amazing, but I was mindful of that when I saw the movie again, and I was looking. They don't really move. They're not as buoyant as one would
Did you
hope.
study it closely?
I was longingly at those breasts.
Look,
This is
you
from
had plenty of
people-
opportunity to examine them.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there is no magic boob potion, so we had to glue those on. The actress said of playing her character Sue in the body horror film. So a little disappointing. And it says Qualley 29 explained how director Corley Farge's vision of Sue was 80s inspired with butt and boobs. Think Jessica Rabbit. Unfortunately, and then she goes on. Corley found an incredible prosthetic team to endow me with the rack of a lifetime, just not my lifetime. Now I have something. Rob was live on a stream when and Rob is the only other person who noticed this. There were scenes in the substance that were completely inspired by a series from the 80s of exercise videos. That when I worked at Thomas Video in Royal Oak, Michigan, we played this after hours. After about 8, 9 o'clock, we would pop this laser disc or video cassette in. It was Aerobicise.
It aired on Showtime.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was
like 1 a.m,
dude.
Hey man, porn wasn't easy to get back then.
The pump it up sequences from the substance were completely inspired by this. We'll just watch a few minutes of this.
A few hours
right here.
Yeah, if you go back and forth between channel 34 and 33, maybe get a
don't
glimpse
play
of
the
it.
music. We don't need
This
to
is
get
the first time we've seen this unscrambled.
Just mute it, Chris.
Yeah.
Mute the video, Chris.
Yeah, this is what it looks like on screen. We have to talk over it, or we're going to get claimed. There we go.
I know.
No, it's like Requiem from a Dream.
Yep. It's exactly that. It is exactly that. And
we should all exercise more before AI. Jesus.
But this was a thing that I was fascinated by when
bet you were.
was younger, but because it was so, I mean, it was clearly, obviously so provocative.
Yeah.
And during the time Jane Fonda, every mom had Jane Fonda's workout tape. I would watch this and I'm like, I can't believe that somebody's getting away with broadcasting this into my home, and I love them for it. God bless them.
This led you right down the witch's road.
Well,
I was already there. I wanted to get right into that witch's road.
By the way, the soundtrack is actually on Spotify for the substance,
good.
or at least
Who
some of
cares
the
about
music
the
is.
soundtrack?
This, but I the first thing I thought when I saw I'm Sue, and they put up that big titled Sue, right? And then it evolves into Monstro Elizabeth Sue, whatever. Rob texted me We had a whole exchange. It was very few words. All I said was, it's a masterpiece.
Let me ask everyone right now. You die, you wake up, you see blinding bright white light, and this is the first thing that comes into focus.
No. It's you transfer, but then I'm noticing the details the more I've seen this.
Yeah.
The light show when you go from one body to the other body.
Oh, that's the transfer process?
It was just so brilliant. So brilliant.
And this went on for 30 minutes.
This is the end of the stream.
It did go
Is
on.
I was about to say, is there anything more to this?
Aerobicise beginning
I mean,
workout.
there's
Laserdisc.
the
All right.
that was the shot, that close up. That was. I mean,
No one got beyond 38 seconds into this.
I don't know.
Laserdisc.
There's a pornographer named Andrew Blake, aka Paul Nevins, and he made House of Dreams, which is basically the porn version of this. And I was there for it. I was there for it then. I'm there for it now.
Bless you.
I always appreciate in adult content good cinematography.
Look, man, these kids today with their internet porn and their cell phones, we had to work
you don't know
for
the
our
struggle
porn back in the day.
You know the struggle of trying to find a rogue magazine on the street, and
Exactly.
the process of
Like a junkie.
decontamination. Yeah,
but there's
You had to
something
get
really
the Sears
interesting.
catalog and use your
Yeah,
imagination,
Macy's.
man. That's
Yeah.
what you had to do.
Yeah.
But
There's a
you know the
lingerie
struggle.
section of the
We had
Sears
to
catalog.
work for it.
But the geometry of this, I mean, there's a surreal element, not just a sexual element, but as a surreal element, kind of a spirograph element with this design of how
Very
they set
surreal.
all this up. And it was really weird to watch.
It was art, man. This is back when art was being done. you know?
Totally.
I missed everything Rob
When you
just
still use Star Wipes.
I mean, look at that.
The link to this will be in the description. It's the full laser
God
disc.
bless you.
Someone put. I was watching a stream with Rob, and I talk in your chats all the time, Rob. But you don't. You ignore the chat. You have the conversation, which I appreciate. I just texted you the link, so because I
you
knew
do realize that none of the viewers are paying attention to you right now, right?
Yeah, well, we're
What? Are we still live?
He just lost about everybody
But
after he
by the
posted
way,
link. He
the
just lost
Laserdisc
half
was
his
like
audience.
the Laserdisc was like the best of this aired. There was a lot of this stuff.
Right.
It wasn't just a Laserdisc. They would air this. It was a normal thing. I mean, it was a normal broadcast.
How did they get away with this?
It was the 80s.
Well, it's an
The
exercise
80s,
video.
man,
I don't know what
yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
It looks fine to me.
It's like
Yeah.
they want to recreate the 90s so badly. Why don't they want to recreate the 80s?
Yeah, look at how
Oh,
unified
look at
we were.
Look at that.
Wow, twerking before twerking, man.
I know.
And they're not
This-
melanated enough to do that.
this was ahead of its time. But let's get back to talking about the movie. People were shocked by it. People were, like there was a mixed reaction. The main thing it lost people was in the third act. Dante,
Yeah.
I know you had issues, but I've seen the movie 3 times. It's a masterpiece. You don't get there. I got a very short list of my top 10. Year's not over. Not the more serious movies come out in the fall, but this thing is so note perfect. I know it's too long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Doesn't feel long to me.
No, me
Everything,
neither.
and even the script for this, there is not a wasted line. There is not a wasted shot. He storyboarded much of the film. You mentioned on your stream, Rob, the opening shot wasn't exactly the opening, but the walk of fame and like the
I love
bookend-
the opening shot with the egg.
Yes,
I thought that was genius.
It's on so many levels, this thing, and there are details. There's graffiti that you see outside that alleyway door about the substance, like with graphics that match. It's down to the graphics of the substance itself and the instructions of fetishizing of this medical procedure, which I feel like also this movie hits women different. Because literally the body horror comes from, on the other end, Demi Moore's character, Elizabeth Sparkle, aging. Her finger becomes old. And that's a horror for her to the point where she doesn't want to be seen, right? Like it really does. Like I talked to women who have seen this film and they are affected on a different level. So there's so much going on. I don't think a man could have made this movie. I really believe this needed a woman to be able to tell this level of horror. What are your thoughts on that, Rob?
Well, I agree with all of that, but I had somebody write me. So after I did my show, this guy named Gordon Cutter wrote, he hated the movie. And he wrote, I thought, a really cogent, I'd love to just read a little bit about what he says. He said, I think there's a tendency to blow up or exaggerate genre films that are directed by A, foreigners, and B, women. In this case, a French woman. It's almost like whatever fault these critics would pick apart in the work of someone like Brian Usna or Panos Cosmatos, both of whose works this film liberally steals from a lot, they will overlook in a film like this one. It's almost as if those same faults, and they're even worse than this film, I would argue, must be imbued with some hidden meaning or intent simply because they come from the mind of a French woman. I'm not so forgiving. I thought this film was a complete waste of time. The only unique idea was the mechanism behind an execution of the birthing scene itself. Everything else was cribbed from some other better source. I walked out of the theater, frankly, pissed. Now that I've had some time to think about it, the only thing I'm not sure about is whether it was all intentional, in the sense that the movie gets increasingly dumber as it goes along, almost mirroring the degeneration of the lead character's physical and mental state.
But I do think that this movie hits, Rob, you've worked in the industry, so has Jim, so has Paul. There is a value assigned to women based on your and there's so much of this, you're so pretty and happy and smile, like all of that. And when women reach a certain point, they're no longer valuable. They have no value. There's an expiration date. And her character, Elizabeth, was trying to bypass the expiration date, right? Become valuable and become loved again. It really pushed love. She would zoom in on the word love on a bouquet of roses. I want love. So many people who work in entertainment, actors in particular, to be front and center like that. There's something in you that's missing. You want that love, and will go to great lengths to get love of adulation of strangers. So there's so many levels there.
There's also, Chris, I would say that the casting of Demi Moore in particular in this role was pretty spectacular because of her own career trajectory.
Yeah.
You know, you think about her as a brat packer and then being America's sweetheart in Ghost. You know, and then
you're forgetting about Parasite. I assume you're going to talk about.
No, I mean, she, Demi Moore is the girl that's on the "I Spit on Your Grave" one sheet. People don't know this, but when she did Parasite for Charles Band, they used her on the Wizard video cover. It's Demi Moore is the girl that's on the cover of the original "I Spit on Your Grave" poster. But what's interesting about Demi Moore is she was the first nude woman on the cover of, was it Vanity Fair? When she was pregnant. And very famous. And then, of course, obviously, she's had work done marrying Bruce Willis, then with Ashton Kutcher. Her own life has made her involvement in this movie chef's kiss, because she sort of embodies everything in real life that this woman had gone through, especially career-wise. I mean, when she did things, she was pilloried for doing striptease. At the same time she was doing G.I. Jane for Ridley Scott. I mean, and I every time the camera, first of all, for her to do the fearlessness, the way she'd show her stomach, the way she showed her 61-year-old ass, fearless performance. I thought she looked great through the whole movie, but I understand what was going on. The fact that she allowed the camera to get that close to her face, there was anything that she might have, any vanity that she might have had, was stripped away. And whether you're complaining that some of this stuff emulates society, using this society, not we live in a society, but the movie society or The Thing or anything like that, I think misses the point. This movie was wildly entertaining. And at the end of the day, it might have cribbed from a lot of things. A lot of horror directors crib from other people's work. Certainly Tarantino has made a career of making genre pastiches from other people's movies, whether it's Ringo Lam or whomever. And I think that this film, I loved the 2 hours. There you go. People forget how freaking scandalous this was when it came out. I mean, everybody was talking about this, and here it's celebrating. And this is Ghost era Demi Moore, a beautiful woman who's doing what only a woman can do, which is carry a child, to give birth, to give life. And look at her here. So for her to do this, I think from a career perspective, not only was she great in it, and fearless in it. But because it was Demi Moore, there was a meta level to everything that we were watching that I just thought was unbelievable. And I was having so much fun in the theater. Would I have liked to know more about The Substance? Yes. Is this a movie I would love? I would love to see a sequel to this, because we know that there's a lot of other stories going on. We know that there's other stories. Even the guy that coerced or got Demi Moore to get into this, we meet him, his other self later. I mean, there's so much interesting stuff going on in this movie. I loved it.
You know what?
I really I think it's a great movie. I thought it was 3/4 of an amazing movie. I look, Dennis Quaid blew me away, man. I think, like, even though he only has a few parts in the movie, man, I thought that his character, he killed it. Dennis Quaid killed it. Demi Moore killed it. Margaret Qualley, is that her name?
Qualley.
Killed it.
Yeah.
It was a great film, man. Like the scene that I keep thinking about when I see clips of that movie is the scene where, well, not that scene, not this scene right here, but no, I keep thinking about that scene where she's getting ready for her date with that guy. And she just can't get out of the house, man. Like she every time she looks at herself, she goes back and does something different. Then she goes again, and then she comes back and does something different. And she basically ends up just not even going out. And I thought Demi Moore killed that scene. It was a great film. Look, is it in my top 5 of this year? Maybe not. I don't know. But for me, my problem is that it went on too long. I felt like, at some point I started to realize, hey, I've been in this theater for a very long time, and the ending for me does kind of go off the rails. And I know it's supposed to, but it went off the rails in a way I felt like took away from everything that was built up until that point.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was
I disagree with you.
excessive at the end. I
Yeah,
thought it was just
I think the
over
ending,
the top.
to me,
go
the
ahead,
ending
sir.
was just full circle. It's just taking the story full circle.
Yeah, was it though?
Yeah, I mean, the Hollywood Walk of Fame star. That's kind of where
Yeah.
it ends.
Well,
And
I mean, no,
the other-
that part was
No,
just,
no. Yeah, I think he's talking about like the scene at the end, and I don't know if that's a pageant or the New Year's Day celebration
It was
or
New
whatever
Year's
that.
Eve. Yeah,
New Year's Eve, yeah, like that to me was where I was like, okay, can we just get this movie finished? Because I got the point of the movie, and I thought up until that point I was good. I was like, okay, and I didn't know how they were going to end it. But then when they do the little cutout of Demi Moore's face and they paste it to I was just like, all right,
it was
man,
like at that point,
I'm over this thing. I'm done. All right,
Honestly,
let's
that's
hurry up
kinda
and
where
get
I
the
was
thing over
getting
with.
into it.
And I thought it was
thinking
just
myself-
going to fade to black at that point, and people were going to stand up and clap, and it was just going to kind of fade to black, and it didn't. And then that was like, all right, now we just in excess mode, which I guess for some people, cool, but it just didn't work for me at all. And I know that this is a very divisive movie specifically because of the way it ended. Because I think up until that point, I think most people were probably on board, and it's just the way it ended. It went on too long, and then that ending was just
I mean,
like,
for
what
me-
the hell is this?
For me, that ending, that insane ending was, I mean, that's kind of where I clicked back into the movie, because it was just escalating. And then it reminded me of how bad Men was, that movie Men, because this was almost like that. And,
See, I
and
like
then
it.
to
I don't
finally,
know if
hold on, and then to finally
I
put a
love
button
that.
on it, I thought was great. Go ahead.
No one heard anything you guys have said.
I know. Sorry.
Yeah,
No, I was gonna say people. I know. You know what's so funny? Like I haven't bought Men on Blu-ray because, and I know it was just a very divisive movie, and more people just didn't like it. I just found it fascinating. Like I found Men, especially, and you're right. The ending of Men is just so bonkers. But I think this really sort of matched that in its bonkerness more in maybe a early Peter Jackson kind of way.
It was bonkers, but I understood the bonkers aspect to it. Unlike Men, where it was just like, why are we going in this direction? At least in The Substance, I understood the direction they were going in.
well, I felt like everything leading up to that was amazing, man. And I even like the fact that we didn't know anything about The Substance other than, hey, there's this thing, there's this formula that you can inject into your body, but I like that we don't know who made it. I like that we don't know where it came from. It was just there, and I like a lot of those aspects of the film.
That's what I'm saying. We need a prequel now to understand what this is and how it came to be.
Nah, but I like movies better when they don't explain everything in the movie. It's just like, it's not even what the movie is about. It's about the substance. It's about what this woman, this individual actress is going through in her life. And it's kind of, the substance is a way where it just kind of unfolds and exposes, the trauma within herself. I thought it was interesting that, she's really two different people of two different minds, because it kept saying you are one, right? That was the main point. You are this person is you, but yet she's got this kind of split personality in a way that she, understands, I want to have that same success that I had. I want to still be young and beautiful, but at the same time, she's almost kind of gets to the point where she needs to accept the fact that she is getting older. So it's like this kind of trial that she's undergoing, and then she could stop it at any point in time, but she keeps choosing, or a couple of times she chooses not to. Again, I thought that was a very interesting examination of this particular actress and what may be going on in the minds of a lot of Hollywood actresses. I thought that was great. Okay. I loved it. I was up until that point. They had me. I was on board. It was the ending. I'm like, what the hell are we doing now? And the body horror stuff, I don't care. I mean, I love horror, but I think it was just excessive. It was just way too much. They probably could have peeled back about 10 minutes of that and it would have been perfect.
I don't normally like body horror, but I think what I liked about this was kind of like a 2.5 hour Twilight Zone episode. Because it set out a premise and it just took that premise to its extreme, and it said something about us, about humanity, about what it's like. And this is why I'm more drawn to these kind of horror films than I am just basic slasher type horror stuff.
Sure.
Well, one of the things, one of the things, that he brings up with the fact that they keep on reminding, and it's keep on being said over and over again in the movie. It's like, remember, this is you. Remember, this is you.
You are one. You are one.
You are one. And I think one of the really brilliant things about the movie is that they don't share the same brain. It's not like, they go into the coma and they sort of have somehow magically have the same experiences. The fact that they are these separate entities, but they kept on having to be reminded that they're the same person.
Right.
It's almost like the whole idea of this sort of like the narcissism and the the ego of I see this as they see each other as enemies.
Right. The dualism that exists in all of us, probably, in my opinion, it's like two different individuals. I'm always of two different minds. What I want, what I need, like that sort of thing. I thought that was brought out brilliantly. I loved it. It just went on too long.
I mean, I love the point where Demi Moore would eat anything she wanted, and leave her house a complete utter mess. So when Margaret Qualley shows up, she's got
what the hell is this?
Chicken bones in her body, and she's looking at this horrible mess that she then has to clean up. And I really like the escalation of that. And it really disturbed me when Sue starts breaking the rules and starts injecting. She wants more and more days, and the way that wound where she stuck the thing got more and more pussy and gross. And I mean, but like you just said, DA, I love that whole idea of the narcissism and youth. Just like, there's no rules that apply to me. I don't have to deal with what they told me the rules are. I can just come in and take some extra until there was none left.
Yeah.
And I mean, that all that stuff I think gets a little lost in the people that are slagging off on the movie, because
one quick thing I want to say, and it goes back to what Robert said about that email, is and Dante actually touched upon it too. It's subject matter aside, it is a master class in visual storytelling.
Oh yes.
Anybody who wants to be a filmmaker should watch it, because it's like, I don't know how much dialogue's in this film, but it's very little. Everything is shown to you. Even they set up all the things with the numbers, with the days, everything is visual. And that's what's great about it. Even what Dante said about the date, she goes on. None of it's done with dialogue. So that's why everybody should see this movie, just for that reason alone, because it's genius. And I know Brian Usden's work. I don't think he's that great as a visual storyteller. No. But I'm just saying, it's like that, I think, is a cut above what we normally see.
I was calling this the Blade Runner of body horror movies, because it's so well. And Coraline Forget, this is only her second feature film. Her first feature, Revenge, which came out in 2017, which Second Sight put out on Blu-ray, is really, really good. It's a rape revenge movie. I recommend everybody watch it. But she is a consummate filmmaker. She's been to many of France's film schools. She's classically trained in terms of getting a film education. She really worked her way up making short films. She ended up directing an episode of Netflix's Sandman series. But this is only her second feature, and for a second feature like this, it's incredibly accomplished because as evidenced by the visual storytelling, the shot choices, and I mean the idea. She was clearly, there's a hallway where she is clearly showing you it's The Shining. This movie is deliberately making you think about all these other films. It's not a mistake. She's not stealing. She's asking you to remember the history of body horror. I mean, it's all there.
She's a master. She's a master. We got to get
Revenge. Can I just jump in for a second about Revenge? Like, because I saw Revenge in the theater when it first came out, and I didn't know what to expect. I just thought it was going to be another take on I Spit on Your Grave kind of kind of film, and it really showed an amazing. She's got a really great, amazing visual style. To her, and Revenge was so. Yeah, it was such a visceral experience.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and I remember like really being, wow, I just saw something so different. And when I found, I mean, that was really, look, I was going to see The Substance regardless, but when I understood that it was the same director, like I was like, oh, well, now I'm really excited to see this. Yeah, it did not disappoint.
Yeah, I think it's important to say that we like movies made by female filmmakers, and this background image is not helping that point at all.
Wait. The chat is look, chat. Yes, do we keep it playing during super chats, or should we take this off?
No, keep it playing.
Chat, yes or no? Why?
You want people to listen?
And for no, we will listen to chat. We got to get the supers.
By the way, my wife is watching, so my vote is no.
Leave it. Yes. Hail FT. Keep
chat
it
spoke.
going. Why? Okay, we'll keep it going through super chats. So let's get to them here. If anyone needs to leave, let me know. But
I love everybody answered you by just putting the letter Y.
Why?
Cheeky.
I loved your discussion when you were talking about. I feel like more people need to see this. And there's one thing. Okay, one last thing I'll say. Demi Moore is 61 years old.
Yeah,
she looked phenomenal. She should get an Oscar nom at the very least. A lot of people are saying, "Oh no!" Look who won last year: Emma Stone for Poor Things. That movie is a weird film on a different level, not as gory, but it's weird. Lots of sex in that film, Poor Things, and a lot of full frontal from Emma Stone. Demi Moore is beloved in Hollywood, I believe. The comments it makes about the industry and what it does to women, I think will resonate. I think Demi Moore, at the very least, a nomination. If not, she should win. She is my pick.
She might get nominated, but they're not going to have two women win back to back for being naked.
No, name a better female. Wait,
they do in my world.
Name a better performance by a woman this year.
These women right here.
No, name a better performance by a woman this year that is worthy of an Oscar nom.
Emily Blunt in The Fall Guy.
Like there isn't one. So every time I comment, people pick it apart. Just wait. I know the nudity, to be honest, isn't sexual, right? It's her looking at her body. There's even some subtle things I noticed watching it 3 times. Like Demi's ass is it's the ass, it's a little saggy. When she becomes Sue, she's in the shower feeling herself. Like I've got this supple young body, right?
And fake boobs, yeah.
Yeah, it's even though they were prosthetic. Let's get to Soups. Badger, if you would.
Yeah. David Smart, member for 7 months. Hey, I watched Am I Racist and it was an okay film, or Am I Racist and it was an okay film.
Thank you for being a member. By the way, look up the Q&A by the director of The Substance. 40-minute Q&A. I filmed. Watch it.
Graph Web for 2. In the name of all that is holy, hashtag cancel Disney Plus.
All right. Thank you.
High Def 10 for 10. Love your stuff, Chris. Where did Blade get that Nirvana t-shirt? I've been looking for one. High Def 10 did a racism, but yes, Dante, where did you get that Nirvana t-shirt?
Target.
There you go, Tarjay.
That's great, Dante.
Snakes and Funerals, member for 19 months. Flo Pew is a discount ScarJo. Yeah. Sons of Shadow, shout out Jeff for 2. Stephen Yoon appears to have chosen wisely.
Asians have that talent.
Yeah. He was going to be Sentry. Yeah. Sons of Shadows is in for another 2. Oh, yeah. It appears to have chosen wisely. Stubble McShave for 20. I will probably not resub to Disney Plus until Andor season 2.
Makes sense.
Mr. Innocent for 5. I'd rather have a good movie that doesn't advance the MCU world plot than shit movies like Eternals or Mrs. Marvel that ruin it. Albert Not a Retro for 5. There was comedic moments in all of it. It got dumb because Deadpool is dumb and he sucks. Disavow. Albert Not a Retro for 5. Thor is Marvel's Superman and Wonder Woman combined. Stranger from a Far Away World and mythology.
I disagree with that. I think the Sentry is definitely Marvel Superman.
Yeah.
But crazy.
CD Stein 69 for $4.99. Agatha, more like Gagatha, overacting, whether intentional or not, was horrendous. It's at best forgettable. As a horror werewolf by night was better. Yeah, to Rob's point too, I think in the beginning they're intentionally doing bad acting, right? Like it's a bad detective show.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it. Knee Pain, friend of the show for 2. Monday was tough enough without having to hear that.
Yeah. Knee pain.
Albert Not a Retro for 5.
I hope this cheers you up, by the way. Knee pain.
Down the Witch's Road is as much a euphemism as to the bat pole, Robin.
Oh.
Albert Not a Retro for 2. It's Taika Waititi's fault, all of it. Yes, the original one is Joss Whedon, but everyone tried to copy Joss, and yeah. Taika. Stubble McShave for 20. Boba Fett should have had the writing of Penguin.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Oh, so much better.
This one might be
Rumble
from
Rant?
Rumble. Yeah.
Right, Rumble Rant. The gayest episode of Versus has to be the one where Dante got fed up with seeing soft peni on screen and demanded more stiff boners. The harder, the better. That was from Wesley, 1924. For
Always
Ken. Shout
hard.
out.
Always hard. Never soft.
Ken Bogus has nothing to say to us, so he just puts down $10.
And
oh,
thank
there we
you.
go. And for another 10, because he does have something to say, Substance equals best film of the year. I can confirm. Margaret Qualley had odd-colored pepperonis, so fake.
And thank you for all your super chats. Appreciate that. And thanks to our mod, Lord Thoth. Thank you to all of our panelists.
Lori, thank
Robert
you.
Meyer Burnett, the great RMB, Verbal Riot, the DA, Paul Salamoff, Angry Badger. Links to all of them are in the description. Links to all the videos are actually in the description, including this one. So there you go.
The Lord's work.
We will be back on Wednesday, Hollywood on the Rocks, with a review of an early review of Megalopolis. I'm seeing it in 2 hours.
Wow.
And I'm
I'm
seeing
seeing
it
Saturday night in 2 hours. So
Well, there you go. So seeing it, and then we also have a follow-up to D-Files, some very interesting info. And I want to thank Atomic Lori, our producer, Glenn Nuccio, everyone. Guys, it was a great panel. Great discussion.
Good time.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah,
Good
I
one.
appreciate it.
I'm getting
So
whiplash, by the way.
I don't know. I'm avoiding ending the show because this is so much fun to watch. This so much fun. Oh wait, a couple of last minute super chats that came in.
Anthony Rigetti for 5. This has been possibly the greatest stream I've ever seen, but I've got to go over to Jimmy Dore. Peace, brothers. Yeah, shout out.
Thanks, Anthony. We're about to end anyways. Thanks.
Showna for 5. Fun show. We have Chris, Frank, and now Mark Gore. That being said, so long, gay boys.
And by the way, Angry Badger is Badger. You're starting your stream shortly.
Yeah, like 30 minutes, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, Badgercast
The link
episode
will be there.
49.
We're pointing everybody back to you. I want to say thank you to everybody. We will be back next week. Wait, another one came in. Here we go.
Red Pill Rants for $1.99. Aerobics all along. Yes.
All right. That's it for us.
I want to point out
Everybody-
Aerobicise does have an IMDb page.
I'm out of breath just
does.
watching this.
All right. Okay, that's it for us. We will be back next week with another episode of Versus. Watch our Film Threat live stream. Sub to everybody who is here, and their links to actually Jim Agnew's site and along with Paul Salamoff as well. Alan?
Let's get out of here.